Welcome back to A People's Guide to Publishing. I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing and Distribution. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 25 years.
I'm Ellie Blue. I'm the editorial and marketing director here at Microcosm. We are an independent mid-list publisher based in Portland, Oregon. We have 14 employees, over 650 titles in print with 20 to 40 new books per year, and we distribute thousands of titles from other publishers.
We started this podcast so that we can share what we've learned with newer publishers so that you can learn from our mistakes.
Or maybe you just want to understand the publishing industry.
This week, we are going to answer a reader question.
Yay, readers.
Which is, and we're actually going to, spoiler alert, we kind of always slightly revise every reader question to make it, 5% more universal.
Well, I think you should say what the actual question was this time, because it's like...
Oh, wait, should I tell them what the question is?
Yeah, tell them what the question is.
After we answer it, or before?
Well,
We'll never know. Okay, I'll just say it. So, the question is... How do I make what makes a book cover great?
What makes a book cover great?
Which is somewhat clunky and interpretable, and not just because of the age of Trump, but, how do you define great in this instance,
Like something that will be passed down through history, or something that will sell a lot of books, or something that will win a design award, or something where your mother will be like, what a great book cover, honey.
I was really thinking they were writing a biography of Alexander the Great, but I take your point, And then no lesser cover would do, but a fine point you've made there. There's many, many other possible explanations. So let's pivot that just ever so slightly and say, what makes a book cover effective? And we are going to define effective as selling books whereby the insides of the book are communicated by the cover. Mm-hmm. The packaging. The thing that you judge when you tell other people not to. That is, that's what makes a book cover great / effective, is that it tells you that you care, it tells you, and I guess even more so, it tells you who it's for and why you're buying it. Or if you're buying it, I guess.
We were talking on the ride over here about the Obama's book covers, which I don't feel like are great book covers that will go down in history, but are incredibly effective. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it follows the standard trapping of a celebrity memoir or biography, where you have an iconic photo of your subject on the cover, and then you have type that spans the width of the cover and the name of the person that spans the width of the cover, if that's the author or the subject, So, there's utterly no mistaking what the book is.
It's a little easier to have that book cover because everybody, so many people, millions of people already wanted the book, and you just had to communicate to them, this is the one that you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Most of us have a little bit of a harder time with our book cover design.
Right. And so this is, similarly for cookbooks, the formula is if your author is a celebrity, meaning they're on television or they're a household name, then you put a photo of them on the cover. If they are not, you put a photo of their food on the cover, the most delectable looking dish. I have gotten in many arguments with buyers at Barnes & Noble about this and how we did not follow this formula, but I digress. And so you really want to show authority. Mm-hmm. You really want to sort of, and sometimes authority can be, like a very confident looking cover. And sometimes authority is like a goofy cover if it's a humor book, You want to show authority to your audience, not just in general,
I would say, and tell me if you disagree about this, but in my observation, this is actually probably something you told me and not just my observation, the less detail is on a cover, the more of a bigger market that book is aiming for.
I don't know that I told you that, but I would say that is relatively accurate. Your most niche books will have these painted
It's like a Where's Waldo cover. Which is like what you want. You want to like give those people something to really wrap their minds around.
Yeah. So the books that are like, anything that's in, I hate I'm not picking on it. But the self-published fantasy books, they tend to have, 14 iconic elements on the cover, but your eye doesn't go towards any of them, but they really think they need to tell you every single thing about the book, or worse, they want to tell you the story of the book rather than sort of the theme or concepts of the book.
But that's because those covers are there. Those covers aren't there to like draw you in on the bookstore shelves because they're not in the bookstore. They're there for you to like enjoy after you've bought the book and like you take a break from reading an especially intense battle scene and like look at the cover and be like, oh yeah, that's that character. Mm-hmm. And like, I feel like that's like such a great purpose of a cover for a book that has a more, like a smaller audience, or that you're not trying to like pop out at somebody from across the airport or whatever.
Yeah, and I tend to aim for more of a like bright, gaudy, shiny thing, mm-hmm. or and I try to make it not clash, but sometimes you want it to clash, sometimes that can be intentional. But you really want, and this is sort of how the penguin orange came to such prominence, was that in the crowded landscape it would stand out.
So the book cover that we have that I've most often hear people be like, what a great cover, is actually Bikenomics.
Oh. Which I designed based on a photo reference that Ellie was like, I want something like this. And then I did it in one take. There were 0 revisions. And
it's like perfectly iconic. It's just like this beautiful picture of 2 bikes with a bird flying by.
Right.
And it's like super simple. It tells you this book is about bikes and it's kind of an iconic book about bikes.
And then we didn't, and so like the bad way to make a Bikenomics book cover would be to like have like a person holding a coin and a person holding a bike,
Right, that's so literal.
Because they already know that from the title, because it's the title. Mm-hmm. Whereas this way it's, one is a head-on shot and the other one is a profile shot, so you can interpret that any number of ways. It sort of conveys this idea that there's a deeper meaning in the arrangement of the elements.
I actually got that image from I was like obsessively looking at these blogs that were all just like old vintage like Japanese and Eastern European book covers. Mm-hmm. I think this was a Japanese one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's from another book cover. Sorry, well, whoever published that book in 1960.
But that's like how book covers work. Mm-hmm. It's like you make something and then somebody makes something based on your something, and it gets to be a dubious gray area when you are finding a book and then you are basically rewriting that book and then making a near identical cover. That's like maybe ethically questionable to try and not to make no mistake, lots of publishers do this where they literally are trying to make the book that is mistaken for the other book.
Right.
But in our case, we weren't doing that. It was a definitive book. And, I guess the only irony here is that the cover was not definitive. The cover was more colloquial and, experiential. It, like, tells you how it feels to be riding your bike, maybe in 1960 Japan.
Flying by.
But, that... And it does, and it hits the point where, if that book is for you... and I put a lot of effort into the colors. Like, I liked the blue on the first edition more than I liked the toothpaste color on the second edition. And I also really liked the smaller trim, but...
well, we gave up so much.
Live and learn. But I hope I still have one of the old ones. But, so you really just want that to hit hard. You want somebody just browsing the stacks to pause... and say, oh, this one's for me. And that you get about maybe 4 seconds of their time. And you can evaluate that when you browse book covers. You can see which ones grab you and why. And then you want to look at what's called the rule of thirds. So, like, where your eye lands when you're just browsing and passing, So you want to say, like, do I notice the most important detail first? Do I notice the second most important detail second? Etc. So and on a bad cover, those, if you look at a third of the way down the page on the cover, there's nothing there, so you want to keep it where your focal point elements are the first thing you notice. And then the other trick that I learned from Bill Brent many years ago is that if you squint and then you pull your head back and you just take your eyes enough out of focus, it's like, what draws your attention, and that can help if you have been looking at something too long.
Right. And like sometimes you want that to be the author name, but usually you want it to be the title, and sometimes you want it to be the graphic element.
Mm-hmm. And
usually the title, unless it's a famous author.
Yeah, author brand, as we discussed on the previous episode, is really something that sells books. And then, as is recommendations. But you can't put a recommendation on your book cover unless you have like a blurb from a popular author, or maybe you have a blurb from a respected reviewer, But, and so sometimes those can be the prominent elements, especially if, as Mark Zuckerman once told me, credibility is questionable on this title. But, and it's funny because, I feel like Biconomics was the book that cemented your credential and expertise and then caused so many people to ask you to blurb their books to establish their credibility. True. The only aspect of credibility to Biconomics was that you did something that nobody else had done before and you did it well. You didn't have like a... I
had a platform, though.
But you didn't have like a you didn't have what would be considered like credibility.
An urban planning degree or pedigree or whatever.
And this is normal, that like this is sort of the misnomer of like what people think of in publishing as like credibility is, platform isn't really thought of that way. Platform is sort of a separate element, whereas it's more like, are you a doctor of neuroscience? If
I don't know, though. On the contrary, like look at Glennon Doyle. Okay. She has all platform.
Right. Oh, yeah. But that's, once you have platform, it's kind of anything goes.
Right.
Like, you could really write anything that resonates with your audience. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the same way the publishers have moved into podcasts and YouTubers and, trying to see who has an audience that will also read, or Instagram famous people, or, so like, but that doesn't always stick. A lot of those, or a lot of times you'll follow the YouTube, Instagram, podcast account, but you don't actually know the name of the person that does it.
Right.
So you'll have a lot of duds that way.
I feel like we've strayed from the question.
No, but that's
what
the
makes
thing.
A great book cover.
So if it's the platform, that is the most important thing. You want to say creator of A People's Guide to Publishing podcast, or author of Biconomics, or, we've used your blurb on other books for the simple fact of, like, it makes those books more credible.
That's true. You put someone's name on the book sometimes really just for the most specious reasons. Because it's Secrets of Publishing.
Because it's a credible referral.
Right.
Because it's saying this person who you do trust believes in this. So it's like, when you look on the shelves at Target, and you look at the fantasy novels, they all have a near identical over-the-shoulder shot of a person in silhouette who is about to go on an epic quest, And it's like, that is effective at telling you what kind of genre that book is.
But is it great?
Right, well, and...
It's probably great at selling books.
Well, but they're not all going to sell. There's going to be hits and misses that have that, obviously. Because if they all sold, then... I can assure you, every single fantasy book would have that cover.
I feel like sometimes the best way to make something really effective and, like, really cool is to, like, take a tried and true template, like that fantasy genre or, like, the literary trend these days of, like, the covers that are, like, lush floral wallpaper, and, like, give it some kind of, like, disturbing or unique or weird spin.
Right,
I feel like that's the way to get to greatness, if you're really aiming for great as well as effective.
Yeah, and I will say it is fascinating to me because the book covers that win book cover awards and books that win awards generally, I feel like are not effective or great covers. And that's, a matter of opinion or whatever, but
They're often very beautiful covers.
Yeah, exactly. But they're not doing fundamentally what they need to be doing outside of a very specific, they're more resemblant of self-published covers in that they tell you a lot of the elements of story.
Yeah.
Rather than, and that's a broad generalization. But yeah, I think your assertion is brilliant.
Thank you. Wow, I wasn't expecting such a compliment this early in the morning.
What time do you normally receive them?
I prefer them after lunch.
Okay, great. We'll schedule that.
Thanks.
However, I think it was brilliant that you said to take a common trope and turn it on its head or add an element that sort of changes the meaning or makes it stand out or makes people notice it, because that works within the industry where buyers are just getting fatigue from going through catalog after catalog of floral print covers, and then the one that has like the bloody knife piercing through the floral cover or whatever.
Or like the lush landscape of, it looks like flowers, but when you look closer, it's made of garbage.
Yeah. Doing something like that is going to be the one they notice, whereas most buzz books or standout books that aren't built on platform are built on marketing budgets, where they're essentially paying to manufacture that buzz. And, a lot of times that's hit or miss and ineffective too, so I do think creating something that is memorable and sort of plays on tropes, like, you can do that badly, but I feel like even doing that badly is going to be beautifully memorable.
I feel like the real way if you have a great book cover is when you show it to people, they like make a little noise.
Yes.
Like maybe that's like a gasp or a laugh or like a whoa or something. I don't know, some kind of little exclamation. That's what you want. That's your metric.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I like that. I like that you would want people
it's scientific.
To be responsive to it, and and I do feel like that is the best thing that you get from doing events. RIP events, welcome back events, is that you can get real-time feedback, and real-time feedback is often even like which ones do they touch, which ones do they touch first, which ones do they hold the longest, that's a really good way to see, oh, okay, this one is a great cover.
Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub,
on Twitter at Microcosm,
on Facebook at Microcosm Publishing,
on Instagram at Microcosm_pub,
and here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.